So this is the last piece of our unit on module 4. Today we're going to talk about metric. Metric conversions. You'll figure out really quick. I'm going to say a lot of what I did last week 100 times. Last week, what was our little saying? I said over and over and over again. Big to small, divide all. Small to big, divide the pig. You're going to be doing the same thing, except you see that yellow poster back there? So now we're going to use King Hector doesn't like drinking chocolate milk, and I'm going to show you what I made up a few years ago because this was very confusing. When I started trying to teach it to 5th graders, they were multiplying and dividing by the wrong things. So I made up metric street. Metric street is where all these guys live. First we have Kilo's house. He's the big one. This is Kilo. This is Hecto. Don't ask, that's his name. This is Deca. And in the middle, we have liter, meter, and gram. They are roomies. They live together. When you want to measure how long something is, are you going to call liter to come help you? No, that's not going to help you. So you need to call the guy that you need for the job. If we're talking about mass, we're going to go with grams. We talk about length, we're going to go with meter. Capacity, liter. Got it? Yeah. Then after that, we have little deci. And everything goes to lowercase after these guys here in the middle. We have Deci's house. We have Centi's house. And my tiniest one of all is little Millie. Isn't she cute? Okay, so the further you go down the street, the smaller your units are getting. A kilometer is going to be the closest thing to a mile we have in London, okay? So remember, this is what the rest of the world uses for everything. This is what we use sometimes depending on what it is, okay? So this is metric street. We're going to have to do conversions between all these things here. If I have 3 kiloliters, you write KL, and I want to change it to just plain old liters. Who's my big? Kilo. He's my big guy. This is my big, and then I'm going to go big to small, multiply all. This is the part you're going to like because multiplying and dividing by 16 last week got kind of annoying on Friday, right? Yeah. All of these are going to be multiplied by 10, 100, or 1,000. Every once in a while, 10,000 or 100,000, but not very often. As long as you can multiply by 10, 100, and 1,000 and divide by those numbers, you're good. So this is how you tell what to multiply by. If I start at Kilo's house and I hop to Meter's house, how many houses do I hop over? 3. If I hop 3 houses, I multiply or divide by 1,000. 3 houses, 3 zeros. 2 houses, you multiply or divide by 100. 2 houses, 2 zeros. If they are next door neighbors and BFFs, one house, you multiply or divide by 10. This is your key to figure out what you multiply or divide by. Is it pretty easy to do 3 times 1,000? Yeah. Yep. You don't even have to think about it. It's 3,000. and you're done. Easy. If I go from 340 centimeters and I want to change it to decimeters, it'll be little d, little m. For deca, it's going to be a capital D for deca, okay? If I do this, who's my big, centi or deci?
Deci.
Circle my big. Am I going big to small or small to big? Small to big, so we divide the pig. Okay, if I start at Centi's house and go to Deci's, how many houses? 1, so what do I divide by? 10. Be careful, it's not 1. If I divide and there's zeros on both sides, what can I do? Bye-bye. Guys, y'all don't need to write it out this way. Please don't. If you have zeros on both sides, I can essentially divide both by 10. 34 divided by 1 is 34, and I'm done. The end. Sometimes you're going to have decimals in these, though, and this is what I need to review with you guys. Let's say I have 248 decigrams, so I'm going to put DG for decigram, and I want to change this over to decagram. Who's my big? Deca's my big. Am I going big to small or small to big? Small to big. So I divide the pig. If I start at Deci's house and hop over to Deca's house, how many houses over is Deca? 2. So what do I divide by? 100. 2 houses is 100. Now we have a problem. Are there zeros I can knock off? No. What did I teach you to do when you divide by 10, 100, 1,000 when we did decimals? Isaac?
There's always like a decimal in front of the...
Always here. He's just wearing an invisibility cloak. Good.
And then how many zeros you hop over that then?
Good. So I'm just going to, 2 zeros tell me that I'm going to go left 2 times. 1, 2. Remember this? And I have 2 and 48 hundredths decagrams. If I had 7 and 25 hundredths, and let's make them hectoliters, and I want to make it into deciliter. If I start with the decimal, first of all, which one's my big? Hecto is my big, so I'm going big to small. We multiply all. Start at Hecto's house. How far away is Deci? 3. So what am I going to multiply it by? 1,000. Good. 3 houses, 3 zeros. So when I multiply by 1,000, got a decimal. Do you want to stack it up like this? If you do it this way, you're going to have a big pile of zeros. When we did decimal numbers times 1,000 or 100 or 10, what was it that we have to do when we have a decimal number? Yep.
You move over how many zeros?
Good. So these 3 zeros tell me I move over to the right or the left?
Right.
Right, because I'm getting bigger. 1, 2, 3. I've got an empty spot. What do I put there? A happy little 0 to keep my world straight. And I have now 7,250 deciliters. Any questions?